Thank you, Mike, for taking the time to do this interview with us. Shelters on the Block really appreciates it. Before we get started, I would first like to give a little introduction to those listeners who are not familiar with our project. So we're a nonprofit NFT project aimed at helping give back to the community here in Los Angeles, specifically those experiencing homelessness. And we try to partner up with organizations that kind of align with our mission. And when we saw what Uncle Dave's does, we thought it was a perfect organization to partner with. And so now we have hopes to help raise some funds and then give those proceeds back to Uncle Dave's. And I know you've been working with Uncle Dave's for several years now. You used to be a guest and now you're a manager. And I think this is a perfect transition for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about about how you got involved and everything.
Well, like you said, I was a guest with Uncle Dave's Housing. Before that, going through rehab and certain programs downtown Los Angeles to get back on my feet. My counselor found a place for me to go called Uncle Dave's Housing, and I moved into Uncle Dave's Housing, and I'm still programming in downtown. So every day, I get out the house and go to the program. Learning how to use computers and stuff like that. Just get back in life.
Yeah.
And so, 6-7 months go by, and I have the opportunity to become an assistant manager. Unfortunately, two weeks later, the manager gets fired, and I become a manager. And it's been 7 years now working with Uncle Dave's Housing.
Oh wow! And so how long were you a guest before you?
I believe like 6 to 7 months. Yeah. Yes, sir.
And would you mind sharing a little bit about your experience about like what the programming was like when you were going downtown?
Well, yes, I would. Sorry
Dave's?
about that. Yeah. The program was through. I forgot the name. Volunteers of America, and it was a shelter. And in that shelter, to stay in the shelter, you have to, go through their classes and their programming. So every day, get up 7 o'clock, go down there and attend the classes. I would try to actually work with Volunteers of America. I would work at their desk as reception, people coming in. And, if you know anything about Volunteers of America, they're busy, So, going to the classes, I wasn't big in high school. So, even though playing football, I barely made it through. In my senior year, I got kicked out of high school, so I didn't graduate. So I didn't learn a lot of things that I should have, to be becoming a young adult to an adult. So, the process of learning how to use a computer, things like that, being interviewed, which was a great thing to learn, and just interacting with other people, being homeless, you lose that. People don't come, hey, how you doing? Because you look dirty, you look grimy, and in my situation, being a meth addict also, eye contact for me was weird, so, and your mindset is so different, being out on the streets, being homeless, being a drug addict, and it takes a while to get back in that process to talk to people normally, to process certain things. And but yeah, those classes really helped me out, and just interacting with other people at Uncle Dave's, multiple people in the house, and even the manager Scott, he is a mentor of mine. He's an older gentleman. He's still a manager. He's our senior manager with Uncle Dave's Housing. So, having good people around me, and participating in the program really helped me out.
It's really awesome. I really liked how a big thing about that program was kind of like a lot about like kind of sounds like building up your self-esteem and your confidence, right?
Yes.
And that's actually something that really aligns with what we're trying to do too, because we're not only trying to raise proceeds, like what we're trying to do is showcase you as a person, as an individual, as a testament of what can be accomplished when someone goes through these types of programs, and then also to highlight how people struggle and they have to get through certain situations, and that we shouldn't give up on these people experiencing these situations.
Yeah.
So we want to create a community around our project where we encourage our community to cheer those individuals on, tell them that they can do it, that they can get through their program and successfully get back and transition into normal living.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Uncle Dave's has been a big part of your life. And would you mind like giving us your opinion on how you feel like Uncle Dave's specifically helps out? Like in your view, Uncle Dave, like what does Uncle Dave's housing give to the community, like the homeless community?
Right. Yeah, well, Uncle Dave's housing has given me, I can't really speak about everybody else, but what it's given me the stability of, having a roof over my head, being homeless. There was times where I didn't know where to sleep, I didn't feel comfortable sleeping on a sidewalk or some in the park, just that mental serenity, of having somewhere to go, and it makes a big difference, certain people maybe not would understand that because they haven't been there, like I said, the interaction with people at Uncle Dave's. Uncle Dave is another mentor of mine. I see him as a father, and as a mentor. He has taught me things, that I didn't ever think of, being homeless, or even, like I said, not being the young adult into an adult. There's things that, I'm just now starting, to develop my credit, things like that, just normal, simple things, that he helps me with. And also being in AA, the AA program, helps me to be more open, Dave, I don't know how to do this. Can you walk me through it? And he's been great with it. Interacting with other managers of the other houses at Uncle Dave's housing, same thing. I'm having issues with this guest. Have you had this issue with a guest before? And if you have, can you help me out? I'm growing up basically still, which is awesome. Having a foundation like Uncle Dave's housing, his wife Felicia, former attorney, I can go to her for anything, and as a man, I know it's hard, to say I don't know how, or I'm unfor-sure, so being in this small company, this family basically has, basically filled a hole that I had, growing up, not having my family members around as I wanted them. The young kid, you want your uncle around, you want your mother around, which she was very young having me, so she wasn't around. It was just me and my grandmother, so I have a family now, which is cool. So I can go to people, I can be vulnerable, which is, I believe, people are scared to be vulnerable and hurt. That's, human nature. I don't want to, not be understood and things like that, which is okay, I believe.
And would you say that Uncle Dave's like housing overall, like in each home, that it also provides that to the guest?
Yes.
Like that structure, that family feeling, that feeling of belonging. It's not just to maybe the managers, but also to the guests.
Right. Yeah. It depends on the person sometimes. We have people who come in and they will want to probably stay arm's length from certain people. From even me as a manager. The type of person I am. I'm a joking person. I joke a lot, and I try to get to know my guys because I'm a live-in manager. So, and like I said, having that feeling of family now, I try to reach out to guys. Do you need help with this? Do you need help? Hey, Mike, can I use the computer to look for work? Things like that. And, like I said, as a manager and as a person, I feel like I'm in a position of help. I was helped by the manager before when I was living at Uncle Dave's housing, who would ask me to do certain things, like wash the dishes. I'm like, why is he asking me to wash the dishes? you know, but that was his position as a manager. Something needed to be done. At that time, guests were asked to do chores. So, he did his job. And, as manager now, I totally understand. I may ask someone, hey, since you were the last person in the kitchen, can you please wipe down the counter? Responsibility. You have to be responsible in a house like this to yourself and others.
Yeah.
So that would teach you certain things. You have to remember, I'm not the only one here. If I take a shower, I gotta make sure the floor is not wet. Somebody may fall. If you're cooking in a kitchen, somebody may want to cook behind you. So clean up. Make your bed. There's our rules for Uncle Dave's housing that they signed on the contract. Yeah.
So now I kind of would like to pivot a little bit and talk about because in the end, like we're focused on shedding light on like the homeless crisis and like
Right.
some of the solutions that can all, because the homeless crisis is a multifaceted problem
Yes.
that has multiple solutions, whether it be like organizations that help with substance abuse,
Mhm.
or like Uncle Dave's, which is transitional homes, or
Yeah.
shelters. In your opinion, like where does like transitional homes like land on there? Like
Yeah.
overall, like I wouldn't say like you need to put it in a priority, but
Yeah.
because for me personally, I wasn't really familiar with transitional homes and the concept of it until really recently.
Right.
I only knew about like homeless shelters, and
Right.
and I also didn't know a lot about homeless shelters, like the fact that you have to leave at a certain time.
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
have your own private space, and like
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could just compare and maybe
Yeah.
shed light on some differences, and then also your opinion on like which solutions you think deserve more attention.
Right. Well, transitional living is, I believe, the second step. I believe personally, coming off the streets or out of a program or out of jail, you still need to rehab your mind into society. And after going through that, the programs that, some places have, some shelters have, the next step is transitional living, where you have to implement the things that you have learned to get back into society, to interact with others, to be responsible for your area, finding work on your own. There are programs that help you do that. As I mentioned before, I was a sheltered kid. My grandmother did everything for me. As a Japanese woman with a short temper, if I didn't do it once perfectly, I would do it. Let me do it. So I kind of didn't learn how to do things for myself, and down the road in life that hindered me, just simple things that I believe normal people would know how to do. And so, living in a transitional home, I would have to learn, I never did my own laundry. I have to do my own laundry in transitional living. I have to cook for myself in transitional living, and being cordial to others, instead of being so selfish, out on the streets, being homeless, that's all you think about is yourself, because when am I going to get that next fix? Where am I going to eat? And basically, woe is me, why am I in this position? And once into transitional living, you have to think opposite. You're living with others who are trying to accomplish things themselves. So it helped me so much, having the stability of somewhere to go at night. The interaction with other people, just the hi, hey, how you doing? Hey, Mike, you the new guy. Okay, yeah. Nice to meet you. And having that eye contact that I used to avoid all the time because of shame. And transitional living. I didn't know anything about it myself. So I don't have much, but what I have is mine, and it's because of Uncle Dave's housing. I forgot the second question that you asked me. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I actually have
Yeah.
like a follow up question, kind
Yeah.
of on what you were talking about it, and it's more about like your experiencing when you were experiencing homelessness. It
Yeah.
really does sound like it was a very like like a solitary experience.
Yes.
Very solitary.
Yes. Like I said, you're out there daily. For me, I was a meth addict, so the way I got my drugs was from stealing. Going to CVS, Kmart, um, and things like that, stealing those and selling them to people in the neighborhood. To where I got a nickname now. Some of the guys call me because I used to, whatever I sold it for half price. So now my nickname is Half Price Money. But yeah, you're so into yourself because that's all you have.
Yeah.
You don't have any real friendships. You don't have a job to go to. You don't have any responsibility except for yourself and what you want. How am I going to get my drugs? How am I going to eat? So yeah, it's a whole mindset. Homelessness is, and to get out of that, you have to have another mindset of, I need to change how I think. It took me 6 months to remember how to speak properly, how to read properly, especially with heavy drugs, it changes your thought process and things like that, so, yeah.
Well, I mean, congratulations to yourself.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
It looks like you're doing very well for yourself.
Thank you.
I'm happy to see that, and
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to accomplish. Maybe not by like raising a lot of money, but
Right,
maybe just
yeah.
bringing
Right, yeah.
awareness to this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like sometimes not enough people hear stories like this and
Right.
stories about like how it can be successfully done.
Yeah.
People should not like. Sometimes I feel overall, people just worry about how their community looks and they just want to make it look nice, but they don't
Right,
realize
yeah.
that some of these people would want a better situation for themselves.
Right,
But
yeah.
it takes part from everyone to help out.
Yeah.
Getting these individuals through those type of programs. Because
Right.
like you said, it's a hard process. 6 months, right?
Yeah.
That you had to go through the program at that previous
Yeah.
shelter.
And that was after rehab, 3 months rehab, then 6 months to another program. And as I was speaking before, that mindset, some people out there are very comfortable being homeless. I still have thoughts and dreams of where I used to be. I lived under a carport, under the storage area, I had plywood as a door, and a chair to sit on and whatever stuff I had personally. I still have thoughts of no responsibility and how easy that is in life, just to walk through life with no responsibility, and I have to get myself out of that thought, like in AA, the AA program, they taught me it's okay to have that thought, just don't act on it, and I still have dreams where I wake up sweating, scared, because in my dream I took another hit of meth, and it wakes me up and I'm scared to death, and luckily, I have people to talk to. And when you're homeless, you don't have people to call, people to talk to. That's when I go out to, go eat with friends, go to the movies, I get hit up, hey, can you give me $1? Like, no, I can't give you $1, but I can buy you something to eat if you like. And if they say yes, or even if they say no, my name is Michael. What's your name? When was the last time somebody put their hand out just to shake their hand and ask them their name and how they're doing? So yeah, you're into yourself, and that's a scary place, to be just in your mind all the time.
I think it's a very unique and interesting perspective that you give about how you don't give the $1 because you kind of know like what would be done with that money
Right,
anyway.
yeah.
So you rather give them something that will be used just for that, like
Right,
food,
yeah.
It'd just be used for them to eat.
Yeah. The other day, same situation. The guy asked me for $2. I'm sorry, man, I can't do that for you. but I can get you something to eat. And there's times where they take off mad because they want the money. And I used to be the same way. I used to hit up people for money so I can go to stores, steal something, but buy like a soda so I wouldn't look too suspicious, even though I've been in that store a million times stealing and the people know it. you know. So yeah, it's so hard to, change your life, even though, like you're a student, you have your mindset on this is what I want to do in life, and then all of a sudden something happens, you know, and you have to change a whole different direction, and that's just hard normally in life, but when you're, mental illness, drug addiction, or just not knowing, I didn't know about AA or the help that I could get when I was out there. Even at that time, I probably wouldn't have sought that help. It was given to me by the judges who would say, Mike, you need to go to a program, don't come back here, things like that. Like, okay, yeah. I still didn't really understand it,
Yeah.
so, but yeah. It's tough out there. It's tough out there. It breaks my heart because I know how it feels. I know what kind of goes through a person's mind, and it's, yeah, just sometimes I'm just glad I had this opportunity and have the people in my life right now that I have.